Who were the most powerful bankers in modern European history? What happens when a single family builds financial networks that span nations and centuries? Today we'll trace the extraordinary rise, the lasting influence, and the many myths surrounding one of the most famous banking dynasties of all time, the Rothschild family. From a small Jewish quarter in Frankfurt to the corridors of European power, their name became synonymous with wealth and with secrecy. This is a deep, factual look at how they built that wealth, what they actually did, and why the myth never quite went away. Chapter 1. Humble Origins. Mayer Amschel and Amp, the Frankfurt Beginning. The real story begins in the Judengasse, the Jewish ghetto of Frankfurt, where Mayer Amschel Rothschild was born in 1744. He trained as a coin dealer and currency trader, building a reputation for handling rare coins, bullion, and trusted financial services for wealthy clients. Over time, his business evolved from a local merchant shop into something far larger, an international banking house. Mayer Amschel made a strategic, almost surgical decision. He placed his sons in 5 different European capitals. The idea was simple but radical for its time. Create a family network of trusted agents who could move information and capital fast across borders. This network would form the backbone of a banking dynasty with offices in Frankfurt, London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples. The plan worked. By the early 19th century, the Rothschild name was recognized from Lisbon to St. Petersburg. Why did this matter? At a time when communications were slow and trust was local, families who could coordinate finance internationally had a unique advantage. Couriers, coded messages, and trusted family links allowed the Rothschilds to transfer funds, underwrite government loans, and move bullion in ways that competitors, constrained by geography and politics, could not match. Chapter 2. War, Risk, and Reputation. Financing 19th Century Europe. The Napoleonic Wars and the unstable political landscape of early 19th century Europe created extraordinary demand for finance. Armies needed currency, governments needed credit, payments had to flow across borders. The Rothschilds, with branches in key capitals and a reputation for trustworthiness, were in a unique position to provide that service. One of the most famous episodes involves Nathan Mayer Rothschild in London and the aftermath of Waterloo, 1815. Over the following years, the family played a central role in arranging government bonds, shipping bullion to pay armies, and providing the kind of large-scale, rapid finance that modern states required. The specifics of the Waterloo courier story have been dramatized and mythologized, but the broader point is clear. The Rothschilds established themselves as indispensable financiers for governments during a time of war and reconstruction. Beyond wartime finance, the family financed infrastructure projects that helped build the modern world: railways, mines, and national utilities. They underwrote sovereign debt, helping countries raise funds in London and Paris. That combination, wartime service plus long-term infrastructure lending, created both profit and political connections for the family. Chapter 3. High Finance and AMP, Big Projects. The Suez Loan and global reach, the Rothschilds were more than war bankers. They moved into the commercial projects that stitched the modern world together. One of the most consequential episodes came in 1875, when the British government, led by Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli, moved to buy the Egyptian ruler Ismail Pasha's shares in the Suez Canal Company. Britain needed cash quickly. The London Rothschild House advanced a large loan, £4 million, on behalf of the British government to acquire those shares. This loan helped secure British strategic control of a vital maritime route. It was classic Rothschild, fast, large, and tied to geopolitics. Other major investments followed: financing railroads across Europe and South America, underwriting bonds for newly formed nation-states, and participating in mining and industrial ventures. Their reach was financial, geographic, and political. In many cases, their capital helped create the modern infrastructure that underlies global trade. Chapter 4. Wealth, Wine, and the Culture of Discretion. Alongside banking, the Rothschilds diversified. They purchased land and estates, invested in art and culture, and became important patrons. Two of the best-known examples are Chateau Lafite Rothschild and Chateau Mouton Rothschild, Bordeaux first growth estates that the family acquired in the 19th century and which remain iconic names in the world of fine wine. These purchases reflected both wealth and social positioning. To own a premier chateau in Bordeaux was to participate in an elite cultural economy. But the Rothschild fortune was unusual compared with later modern billionaires. Much of their wealth was held in private family trusts, partnerships, and controlled banks, not in public companies. That meant the money was hard to value from the outside. The family prized discretion. They rarely made public displays of their entire wealth, which only fueled rumor and speculation. Chapter 5. The 20th Century. Disruption, Decline, and Reinvention. The 20th century changed everything. 2 world wars, the collapse of empires, rising nation-states, and the democratization of finance reduced the Rothschilds' relative dominance. Their firms remained important, but they were no longer the single center of European finance. New financial powers arose in the United States, and global capital markets expanded beyond the tight networks of old family houses. The family adapted. Some branches moved into private banking, merchant banking, investment advisory, and wealth management. They remained connected to elite political and social circles, but their role shifted from isolated dominance to participation in a much larger industry. The Rothschild name retained prestige, but the industrial, American, and corporate banking giants now vied for global primacy. Chapter 6. The Rothschilds Today. Business, Scale, and Public Life. In the 21st century, the family's financial interests are concentrated in professionalized firms, notably Rothschild and Amp Co., a global financial advisory and wealth management group that publicly describes itself as carrying on a family legacy of over 200 years. Their business today focuses on advisory services, wealth management, and merchant banking. The company emphasizes continuity and independent advice rather than the old-style family empire of state finance. Recent reporting shows the firm continues to expand its wealth management footprint, including deals and expansions in places such as the Middle East. Financial press coverage notes Rothschild and Amp Co. manages tens of billions in client assets and continues to compete among global advisory firms. Contemporary numbers change with market conditions. For example, an FT report noted substantive recent growth and assets under management figures as the firm expands regionally. At the same time, the family's public profile has occasionally been accompanied by controversies and scrutiny, both about corporate governance and, in rare cases, personal allegations that have made headlines. These episodes remind us that long-standing names are still subject to public scrutiny and modern standards of corporate transparency. For example, recent reporting about senior figures and their departures has been widely covered in quality press. Chapter 7. Myths, Anti-Semitism, and the Power of a Name, Firm, Careful. No discussion of the Rothschilds is complete without addressing the many conspiracy theories that swirl around their name. For nearly 2 centuries, stories have claimed the family secretly controls world governments, central banks, and the flow of global wealth. These claims are frequently false, exaggerated, or rooted in anti-Semitic tropes that predate the modern era. Reality is more complicated and far less sinister. The Rothschilds did wield enormous influence in 19th century Europe. They created networks, financed governments, and invested in infrastructure. But influence is not omnipotence. The family's relative power waned as global finance grew more diverse, as new institutions formed, and as the United States and other financial centers rose. Many modern claims, for example that they own the world, are unsupported by evidence and rely on simplistic and harmful narratives. Credible histories separate documented facts from rumor, rely on archival records, government papers, and business filings, not hearsay. Chapter 8. Legacy and Amp Lessons. What should we take away from the Rothschild story? A few clear lessons stand out. Networks beat isolation. The Rothschild business succeeded because of trusted family networks across borders. Information is a strategic asset. In an era before telegraphs and telephones, intelligence and fast couriers mattered, and still do in different forms. Secrecy creates myth. When great wealth is held privately and displayed rarely, myth fills the gaps. That myth can be dangerous if it fuels prejudice. Wealth evolves. The Rothschilds adapted across centuries, from bullion to bonds, from railways to advisory firms, showing how capital transforms with technology and political change. In short, the Rothschilds shaped history, but they were not gods of finance. They were innovators, risk-takers, and for a time, indispensable bankers to states and enterprises. Their true power lay in reputation, network, and execution, not in the shadowy omnipotence some stories suggest. Thank you for watching this in-depth look at the Rothschild family, the facts, the myths, and their enduring legacy. If you found this useful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical deep dives. In the description below, you'll find sources and further reading. See you in the next video.